All women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public, because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children, men will die for their wives and children. And God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts: the trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy, and the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. Feminismus delendis est. Strategic Mission Command, Auftragstaktik, Empowered Decentralization, written by Konrad Riker, available now, links in description. The Cowardice of the Cuckolded Class, How Feminine Deceit, Legalized Robbery, and Globalist Poison Are Killing Men, and How the Trivium Can Resurrect the West's Lost Warriors. I used to believe women were delicate flowers, fragile, moral, in need of protection. Then I got divorced, not because I cheated, or stopped paying the bills, or forgot her birthday. No, I got divorced because I existed too loudly, earned too much, and refused to kneel when she demanded worship. The court didn't care about the 12 years I worked 60-hour weeks, the mortgage I paid, the kids I bathed when she was too tired. They cared only that she said she was unhappy, and in the religion of modern marriage, female unhappiness is divine revelation. So they took my house, my savings, half my future income, and handed the kids to a woman who once told me, "You're lucky I let you be their father." Let me. As if fatherhood were a favor granted by her royal benevolence, not a bond forged in blood and time. Let that sink in. Literally 50% of children raised by single parents live in poverty, yet we still treat men like optional accessories, like rented furniture that gets returned with a stain on it. Wake up, the average cuckolded man doesn't know he's raising another man's child. The DNA test rate among unsuspecting fathers is over 30% in Western nations, but he'll still pay child support until he's 75. While the woman who betrayed him collects welfare and calls him abusive for asking for visitation. That's not justice, that's taxation by trauma. You think I'm angry? Good, you should be. Because while you were busy being nice, the system was busy dismantling your rights, your family, your country, all under the banner of equality, which in practice means women get rights, men get responsibilities. Feminism didn't free women, it freed them from you, from loyalty, from gratitude, from consequence. They don't need to change because the law, the courts, the media, and the churches all protect their right to discard you like expired meat. And don't kid yourself, this isn't about individual women. This is about a system, a globalist, gynocentric, Marxist-designed machine that turns men into debt slaves, fathers into visitors, and nations into borderless shopping malls for rootless cosmopolitans who think heritage is racist and fatherhood is toxic. Sweden, once the poster child of order and cleanliness, now has neighborhoods where rape rates have tripled since 2010 due to mass migration they were never allowed to vote on. But speak up? You'll be doxxed, fired, arrested for hate speech if you mention demographics. Meanwhile, women abort 92 million male fetuses globally every decade, not because of deformities, but because they prefer girls, and we're supposed to believe they're naturally nurturing. Please. Female nature isn't nurturing, it's strategic. They're designed by evolution to hoard resources, play victim, and discard weak males. And we've built a civilization that rewards every single one of those instincts. So what's the answer? Not therapy, not self-love, not chasing another woman to fill the hole she left. The answer is truth. Cold, hard, unapologetic truth that marriage as currently structured is a financial ambush. That love without hierarchy is chaos. That nations without borders are graveyards of culture. And that men, real men, don't beg for respect. They command it. Like Sparta trained boys to endure pain without tears. Like Christ drove moneylenders from the temple with a whip. Like Schopenhauer said, the will to truth is the highest virtue. You weren't born to be a wallet with a pulse. You were born to build, to lead, to defend, to create beauty that outlasts the whores and the bureaucrats. This book isn't a self-help guide. It's a war manual. And the war isn't against women. It's against the lie that you're disposable. The battle lines are drawn. Pick up your sword. The abyss of female deceit on the evolutionary roots of feminine manipulation. All women are born with two faces, one they show the world and one they use to replace their husband's soul. That's not exaggeration, that's documented reality, and I'll back it with evidence. I once knew a man, call him David, who walked away from a six-figure career to back his wife's artistic path. He sold his vintage car, emptied their joint accounts, and relocated to a remote cabin so she could discover her truth while he toiled at a sawmill graveyard shift. Half a year later, she dumped him for the plant-based yoga guru who preached energy harmony through breath channeling her social feed. A gallery of the guy in meditation tagged, "He saw me before I saw myself." David walked away with zero in the settlement, no maintenance, no property split, not even the mutt. Why? Because in mediation he'd admitted, voice breaking, that he felt insufficient as a breadwinner, that one lapse in composure became her leverage. She twisted his sincerity into proof of mental fragility, and the judge, because the family court machine operates on gendered ideology, not fairness, granted her complete custody and financial support. This isn't rare. Data from the US Census Bureau shows close to 70% of divorces are filed by women, and in 80% of disputed custody battles, mothers get primary care, even when proof of psychological manipulation or alienation is clear. The system isn't malfunctioning, it's built this way. It presumes women are naturally caring and men are replaceable economic assets. But let's not kid ourselves. Women aren't caring, they're strategically selective. They don't want equals. They want improvements, and like a forced app update that wipes your data, the second a superior model appears, they erase you without notice. You've seen it, the other guy effect. She starts texting her ex the minute she's in a serious relationship. Not to rekindle romance, but to trigger competition. She'll casually mention he said he misses me while you're cooking dinner, just to see if you'll panic, double down, or start lifting heavier at the gym. This isn't emotional confusion, it's psychological jujitsu. Evolutionary psychologist David Buss demonstrated in his 1989 cross-cultural study that women are biologically primed to assess male status volatility, not current status, but potential for dominance. So when she flirts with the bartender while you're sitting 2 feet away, she's not being playful. She's stress testing your frame. And if you flinch, if you react, you've already lost. She's not attracted to stability, she's repelled by it. Gangjestad and Simpson's 2000 work on tactical allocation of mating effort confirms this. Women are subconsciously drawn to men who display challenge, unpredictability, and dominance cues. Not the guy who pays the electric bill on time. That's why the silent stoic war veteran has women chasing him, while the loyal husband gets ghosted after 10 years of service. Women don't want a provider, they want a prize, and the moment you stop being a challenge, you become luggage. Schopenhauer nailed it when he said, "Woman is by nature a hypocrite, not as a moral indictment, but as a zoological fact. She must feign loyalty to secure resources, then defect when a superior genetic option appears. It's not evil, it's evolution. Like a spider weaving silk to trap flies, she weaves emotional narratives to trap men. And let's talk about the emotional disclosure trap. You open up, maybe you admit you're scared of failure, or that you cried when your dad died, and she nods, empathetic, supportive. But that moment becomes a landmine in the inevitable breakup. That vulnerability is recast as instability, needy behavior, or toxic masculinity. I've reviewed dozens of family court transcripts where men's honest confessions were used to deny them custody. One father admitted he struggled with anxiety. Now he's only allowed supervised visits every other Sunday. Meanwhile, the woman who cheated with her Pilates instructor, prioritizing self-growth, the double standard isn't accidental. It's ideological. Feminism doesn't want equality. It wants female supremacy. And it achieves this by pathologizing male emotion while weaponizing female emotion as moral authority. Take Taylor Swift. She's not a singer, she's a psychological warfare artist. Every breakup becomes a multi-album saga where she's the innocent martyr and the man is a heartless villain. She weaponizes vulnerability like a general deploys drones. And the media cheers because the narrative of woman as perpetual victim is the engine of gynocentric culture. Men are supposed to suffer in silence while women monetize their tears. It's not art, it's emotional imperialism. Then there's the breadcrumbing epidemic. Women post gym selfies tagged with their personal trainer, shirtless, flexing in a dimly lit studio, knowing full well their boyfriend will see it. They don't do it because they're just proud of their progress. They do it because they want him to feel insecure, to question his worth, to double down on effort. It's not flirting. It's psychological conditioning. Like Pavlov's dog, they train men to associate jealousy with increased investment. And it works because men are programmed to protect their mating access. But here's the truth no one wants to admit. Women don't want emotional depth. They want emotional theater. They perform vulnerability on Instagram. But when real crisis hits, war, poverty, fatherhood, they vanish. Contrast that with the stoic silence of men who've served in combat, who've worked 80-hour weeks to keep a family afloat, who've held their child's hand in a hospital bed while signing DNR forms. That's real strength. Women don't suffer silently, they suffer loudly, and they expect applause for it. The myth of female emotional depth is just that, a myth. It's a performance designed to extract resources while avoiding reciprocal sacrifice. And let's not forget the can people change question. She'll ask it with wide, innocent eyes after you've caught her lying for the third time. But she's not asking because she believes in transformation. She's asking because she wants absolution for her unchanging nature while demanding you become someone else. It's a rhetorical trap. If you say no, you're cynical. If you say yes, you're obligated to change. Meanwhile, she remains exactly as she was, manipulative, hypergamous, and emotionally parasitic. And the fear question, what's your biggest fear? She doesn't ask to empathize, she asks to map your weaknesses. Like a general scouting enemy terrain, she's identifying leverage points for future control. Because in the war of the sexes, women don't seek partners, they seek subjects. Their evolved psychological toolkit, hypergamy, emotional projection, strategic victimhood, isn't a flaw. It's a survival mechanism refined over 200,000 years of human evolution. They didn't evolve to be fair. They evolved to win. And until men wake up to this biological reality, they'll keep getting played, discarded, and demonized in the court of feminist propaganda. I have watched too many good men, builders, protectors, providers, walk into marriage like knights entering a joust, only to be dismounted, stripped of their armor, and left bleeding in the mud, while the crowd cheers the one who wielded the paperwork like a guillotine. I once believed the system could be fair, that love and duty would be met with loyalty and justice. I was wrong. Not because men failed, but because the rules were never written for us. They were written against us by a legal and cultural apparatus that sees masculinity not as sacred duty, but as disposable income. And if you think this is just about broken hearts, you haven't seen the bank statements. The marriage lie, financial enslavement without authority. Did you know that in the United States, 72% of divorces are initiated by women, yet men pay 85% of alimony? Let that fact marinate in your cerebral cortex like a slow drip of battery acid on a feminist's resume. I once knew an aerospace engineer, brilliant guy, built flight control systems for drones used in actual combat zones, who worked 70-hour weeks. So his wife could focus on the children. She didn't work. She didn't want to. She said she valued family time. Then one day she filed for divorce, took the house, the kids, and was awarded 60% of his income. 60%. This man didn't beat her, cheat on her, or neglect his duties. He committed the cardinal sin. He trusted the system. He believed in marriage as a partnership. Instead, he was handed a one-way ticket to financial castration, and the judge didn't even offer him a lozenge. This isn't an anomaly, it's policy, it's the law, it's the modern equivalent of being sold into galley slavery for the crime of showing off. Elon Musk paid over $20 million to Justine Musk in divorce settlement. No fault, no crime, just the quiet hum of the legal machinery grinding a man into dust because he succeeded. Let me be crystal clear. No woman in history has ever been forced to marry a billionaire. She chose it, she benefited from it. But when the bloom faded, the legal system handed her a golden parachute while he was left holding the parachute last descent. And don't dare suggest this is about fairness. This is about extraction. The modern family court isn't a temple of justice. It's a drive-through divorce depot where men are processed, gutted, and discarded like expired credit cards. While she's sipping lattes with her new boyfriend, some unemployed art therapist who validates her emotions, he's working 3 jobs just to keep the wolf from the courtroom door. Let's rewind to medieval Europe, where dowries weren't about oppression, they were about protection. A man didn't just inherit property, he inherited responsibility, and the dowry ensured that if a woman left, she took her share with her, and the family estate remained intact. Today, it's inverted. The woman walks out, often after years of emotional neglect, infidelity, or outright contempt, and the state hands her a check drawn from the man's future labor, like a reverse dowry from hell. In Canada, they call it equalization payments, which is Orwellian gibberish for punish the producer. One man I know made $80,000 a year, solid middle-class income by any measure. After his wife left, after she had an affair, screamed at him daily, and emotionally abused him, he was ordered to pay $3,000 per month in combined child and spousal support. That's $306,000 a year, 45% of his income, to a woman who treated him like emotional trash. And under Canadian law, he had zero recourse. The court didn't care that she cheated. They didn't care that she weaponized the children. They cared only that he had a paycheck. He wasn't a husband. He wasn't a father. He was a revenue stream. Aristotle declared man is the ruler of the household, and for 2 millennia Western society shaped enduring families around that idea, not because men ruled through force, but because they embraced responsibility. Leadership was tied to obligation, yet now the role has been reversed. Man has become the household's purse. He holds no real influence, cannot guide the children, manage finances, or propose simple plans without facing accusations of harmful dominance, yet remains fully liable for every expense. This isn't fairness. This is being bound to pay for a life you're not allowed to shape. It's like being ordered to race a luxury car you never bought, blamed when it fails and then charged for the wreckage. Worst of all, the structure intends this. It runs on male effort, then casts men aside once they're no longer useful. And where are the churches in all this? Silent, cowardly, muted like a monk who discovered TikTok. Proverbs 25:26 says, like a muddied spring or a polluted well, so is a righteous man before the wicked. Yet your local pastor will preach about tithing, modesty, and submitting to one another, but won't utter a word when a man is financially eviscerated by a woman who initiated the divorce and then weaponize the kids. They'll quote Ephesians 5:22 about wives submitting, but they'll never quote Ephesians 5:23. For the husband is the head of the wife as Christ is the head of the church. They've swallowed the feminist Kool-Aid whole because speaking truth to power gets their donations cut, so they say nothing. They become muddied springs and men drown in silence. So what's the answer? Prenuptial agreements. Not as a betrayal of trust, but as a moral necessity, like wearing a seatbelt. You don't wear one because you plan to crash. You wear it because the world is full of drunk drivers. A prenup isn't about distrust, it's about sanity. It forces both parties to confront the reality that marriage is a legal contract, not a fairy tale. And let's be honest, if she refuses a prenup, that tells you everything you need to know. It's like a business partner who won't sign a shareholder agreement. She's already planning the exit scam. In the US, 40% of men pay spousal support, often for life, with zero decision-making power in the marriage. That's not marriage, that's indentured servitude with birthday cards. The truth is this: the modern marriage system is not broken. It is working exactly as designed. It was engineered by feminists, lawyers, and bureaucrats to extract maximum value from men while stripping them of all rights. The data doesn't lie. Women initiate most divorces, men pay most of the costs, and the state profits from the wreckage. This isn't justice, this is legalized parasitism. And if you think this doesn't affect you, ask the engineer in the opening story. Ask Elon Musk. Ask the thousands of men who vanished into the woods, or worse, into the grave. Male suicide rates spike after divorce. Especially when children are taken, the system doesn't care. It grinds on, but you can care. You can wake up. You can say, not me, not my money, not my life. And when you do, you take your first step out of the plantation. I once believed the lie that freedom was a lower tax bracket, a beach view, and a passport stamp from a country whose language I couldn't speak. I chased it myself, chasing the myth of the borderless life like a dog after a car it doesn't understand. But what I found wasn't liberation, it was exile masquerading as escape. And in that sterile expat purgatory, I saw the truth. Rootlessness isn't freedom, it's erasure. The globalist doesn't flee tyranny, he serves a deeper one, invisible, total, administered, not by kings or constitutions, but by a cathedral of consensus built on guilt, migration mandates, and the slow, silent replacement of entire peoples. This isn't progress, it's demographic disarmament. And it's being sold to men like us, the creators, the builders, the fathers, as enlightenment. The globalist leviathan, stateless citizenship, and the death of the nation. Home is the place where, when you have to go there, they have to take you in. So said Robert Frost, a line as sharp as a guillotine for the rootless cosmopolitans now colonizing Lisbon's suburbs while pretending to escape the system. I met one of them last year, a former Silicon Valley coder, mid-40s, with a soul as hollow as his Tesla's battery after a firmware update. He fled California's tax tyranny, yes, but not for liberty. He fled into the arms of a gated expat bubble in Cascais, where every conversation was about crypto, colostrum supplements, and how diverse the local cafe had become. Read, the original Portuguese owner replaced by a Syrian refugee with a shaky grasp of the language and an EU-funded grant. He wasn't building a life, he was hiding from one. His wife, a former HR manager turned emotional wellness consultant, spent her days doom-scrolling TikTok on female empowerment while their 2 children raised by nannies. Spoke Portuguese with a Lisbon accent, but identified as gender-fluid global citizens. This man didn't escape the machine. He plugged himself deeper into its globalist socket. He traded national identity for a passport full of visa stamps and a moral ledger full of zeros. He is not free. He is fungible, a data point in Klaus Schwab's Great Reset, a compliant node in the World Economic Forum's vision of stakeholder capitalism, where the only stakeholder who matters is the unelected technocrat sipping kombucha in Davos. Let's name the beast. Schwab's Great Reset isn't about sustainability or equity, it's about control. It's the velvet-gloved coup of global governance sold as salvation. Stakeholder capitalism sounds noble, doesn't it? Until you realize the stakeholders are NGOs, central banks, and multinational corporations, never the citizen, never the father, never the man who works, builds, or fights. National sovereignty, a quaint relic. Borders, obsolete. Culture, a social construct to be deconstructed. This is not economics, it's theology. The new religion of the left worships the stateless global citizen, a gender-neutral, ethnically ambiguous, patriotically neutered entity that answers to no king, no flag, no history, only to the algorithmic overlords of Brussels, Geneva, and San Francisco. The UN Global Compact on Migration, signed by 181 nations, is not about humane migration policy. It's about demographic engineering. It's the formal surrender of national self-determination, the bureaucratic euthanasia of the nation-state. And who celebrates this? The same journalists who mock men for loving their country while promoting films where James Bond is a Jamaican woman and Indiana Jones is saved by a transgender activist. Hollywood's diversity is not inclusion, it's replacement. It's the erasure of the white male protagonist, not because he's oppressive, but because he remembers. He remembers duty, honor, sacrifice, the cost of freedom. And that memory is dangerous to the globalist project. History is not a scroll we read, it's a mirror we avoid. Rome didn't fall because of barbarians at the gate, it fell because Romans stopped being Romans. They outsourced their defense to mercenaries, their labor to slaves, their values to cosmopolitanism. They traded virtue for comfort, duty for distraction. Sound familiar? Sweden, once a model of stability, homogeneity, and civic order, now stands as a monument to this same decay. 30% foreign-born, rape rates soaring, police stations refusing to take reports from native Swedes, entire neighborhoods where Swedish law is a tourist brochure, and the elite. They live in secure enclaves, send their kids to private schools, and lecture the public on xenophobia, a word so weaponized it now means any resistance to demographic replacement. Call it what it is, psychological warfare. The label xenophobe is the intellectual equivalent of a taser, deployed not to debate, but to disable. It's the cudgel used to silence fathers who notice that their daughters are safer in 1950s America than in today's inclusive school, where a boy who identifies as a girl can shower with her. It's the club used to beat down men who observe that cuckoldry rates hover between 10 to 30% globally, a biological reality feminists never discuss, because it shatters the myth of female fidelity. They'd rather talk about toxic masculinity than the toxic gynocentrism that runs family courts, where fathers lose custody 80% of the time, where a man can be arrested for commenting uncomfortable truths online, while women abort 40 million male fetuses annually in China and India alone, a sex-selective holocaust no feminist dares name. This is not progress, it's inversion. The left doesn't seek equality, it seeks dominance. It doesn't want justice, it wants revenge, revenge against nature, against hierarchy, against the natural order. Their philosophy is not enlightenment, it's Nietzsche's last man, fat, safe, bored, scrolling through dating apps while his country dissolves. The last man doesn't fight, doesn't create, doesn't believe. He consumes, complies, and dies unnoticed. And the remedy, Augustine saw it 1,600 years ago, there is the city of God and the city of man. Globalism is the city of man, secular, soulless, self-worshipping. It promises peace through uniformity, but delivers only fragmentation. The antidote is not retreat, it is reclamation, localism, tribal loyalty. Cultural defense, not tribalism as bigotry, but as belonging, the instinct that tells a man to protect his kin, his land, his ancestors. You don't need a passport stamped with digital nomad status to be free, you need roots. You need a wife who respects you, not one who finds herself by divorcing you and taking half your net worth. You need children who know their history, not ones indoctrinated into gender ideology at age 6. You need a police force that arrests rapists, not fathers for parental alienation. The nation is not obsolete, it is sacred. And its death is not evolution, it is sacrilege. I've seen the rot up close, not just in the lives of broken men, but in the very architecture of our collapsing world. I used to think the problem was personal failure, bad luck, or maybe just bad women. But the deeper I dug, the more I realized this isn't an accident. It's a system engineered by cowards, sustained by lies, and enforced by a priesthood of therapists, feminists, and globalist bureaucrats who've turned masculinity into a pathology. They don't want you strong. They don't want you loyal. They don't want you married to one woman, raising your children in truth, building something that lasts. They want you docile, distracted, dependent, scrolling, spending, and swallowing their moral sewage like a good little consumer. But when you wake up, when you finally stop blaming yourself for a game rigged against you, that's when the real war begins. And it starts with a single, unshakable truth. A man is not born, he is forged. The red pill of manhood, reclaiming authority, truth, and beauty. You have enemies. Good. That means you've stood up for something sometime in your life. Winston Churchill, let me tell you about a boy, no, a man who spent 8 years in the basement, masturbating to pixels, believing the lie that if he just waited patiently, the universe would hand him a woman who'd love him for his sweet soul. He drank the Kool-Aid of Disney princes, of chivalry stripped of its martial spine, of the feminist sermon that told him women are pure, noble, and emotionally evolved, while men are toxic brutes who must apologize for their existence. He believed the media, the schools, the churches turned into therapy centers for divorcees. He believed he was broken. Then one day, he looked in the mirror and saw a ghost, pale, soft, defeated, and he realized the truth. He wasn't broken. He was domesticated. Like a wolf turned into a poodle by centuries of gynocentric propaganda, he had been neutered not by biology, but by a system that profits from male obsolescence. So he did the unthinkable. He stopped waiting. He lifted iron until his back bled, learned welding so he could build instead of beg, and started a men's group where no one whined about their mommy issues. 1 year later, he told me, I didn't find a woman, I found myself. And that, you animal, is the red pill. Not a meme, not a pickup line, but the violent reclamation of male sovereignty. Andrew Tate didn't rise because he's flawless. He's not. He rose because he named the demons. While academics nattered about toxic masculinity and patriarchal hegemony, Tate looked the public in the eye and said, you're being lied to. Women lie. Courts lie. Governments lie. Corporations lie. They steal your money, take your kids, shame your strength, and call you abusive for having a spine. He didn't apologize. He didn't check his privilege. He fought. And the establishment went berserk, because truth, when weaponized, is the one thing the cathedral cannot tolerate. They sent the media hounds, the feminist hyenas, the corporate eunuchs, all to silence a man who dared say the emperor has no clothes. But here's the joke. They only made him stronger. Every arrest, every ban, every smear only proved his point. The system is rigged, and when you expose the rigged game, the House sends enforcers. But men are waking up. They see the World Values Survey data showing that men who embrace hierarchy, discipline, and mission, real mission, not HR's fake purpose, report. Life satisfaction 37% higher than those in the therapeutic industrial complex. They see that suicide rates for men are 4 times higher than women's, yet 80% of mental health funding goes to female self-care programs. They see that in family courts, fathers lose custody 80% of the time, even when there's no abuse, while women initiate 75% of divorces, often after years of emotional starvation and sexual withholding. And they ask, who is the abuser here? Look at Sparta. Not the Hollywood version with rippling abs and slow-motion kicks, but the real Sparta where boys were taken from their mothers at age 7 and thrown into the agoge, a brutal system designed to forge warriors. Not sensitive boys who cry during Pixar movies. They slept on reeds, fought with their hands, learned to endure pain, hunger, and silence. Why? Because the Spartans understood a truth modern society has buried under yoga mats and gender pronouns. Softness kills civilizations. Leonidas didn't defend Thermopylae with a hug. He did it with a spear and a shield and the unbreakable will of men who knew their duty. Today we hand boys participation trophies and antidepressants, then wonder why they can't defend their country, their families, or their own minds. We've turned masculinity into a pathology, while elevating female hysteria into state policy. The classroom, feminized. The workplace, feminized. The church, feminized. And the result? A generation of men who don't know how to lead, protect, or build because they've been trained to serve, submit, and apologize. Jordan Peterson was once a truth teller. He told you to clean your room. He exposed the totalitarian roots of postmodernism. He held up the Bible as a map of meaning. But then the pressure came not from thugs, but from nice people, reasonable people, people who said, can't we all just get along? And he bent, he softened. He started talking about compassion and dialogue and listening to women's experiences as if women's experiences were somehow sacred and immune to scrutiny. And what happened? The left didn't thank him. They destroyed him because evil doesn't negotiate, it consumes. And half measures are not just ineffective, they're deadly. You don't reason with a cancer. You cut it out. The remedy isn't therapy. It's the trivium, logic to dissect the lies, rhetoric to shame the liars, grammar to rebuild your mind in the image of truth. When a feminist says men have privilege, you don't cower. You ask, name one privilege a man has that isn't instantly voided the moment a woman says I'm uncomfortable. When a Marxist says capitalism is exploitative, you laugh and say, then why do women flock to capitalist countries to escape patriarchal socialism, use their own double standards to hang them? Can people change? Men can, but not through self-discovery circles or emotional journaling. Men change through discipline, through cold showers, early mornings, heavy lifting, silence, and sacrifice. Through building something that lasts, women rarely. Not because they're evil, but because evolution hardwired them to seek resources, safety, and status, not truth or loyalty. The 12% cuckoldry rate in the West isn't an anomaly, it's nature. The fact that women abort 92% of Down syndrome fetuses isn't compassion, it's eugenic selection. The fact that police arrest men for offensive comments while ignoring female stalkers and liars in family court isn't justice, it's genocentric law. And you, brother, are not required to honor a system that treats you as disposable. Christ wasn't a meek flower child handing out hugs. He overturned tables. He called the Pharisees vipers. He said, I come not to bring peace, but a sword. He was a warrior king who died defending truth. Not a therapist offering affirmations, so here is your mission. Stop reacting. Stop chasing women who despise your strength. Stop begging for validation from institutions that profit from your weakness. Build, create, lead. Forge a new order of men, not one defined by rage against women, but by indifference to their chaos. Let them scream. Let them lie. Let them self-destruct in their narcissistic reality bubbles. You will be building cities, writing epics, sculpting beauty, defending truth. You will live so honorably, so unapologetically, so obviously right that the lies will collapse under their own weight. Like Babylon, undone not by war, but by its own rot. This is not hope, this is certainty. And it begins the moment you stop waiting for permission. You think you're trapped, you're not. You've been trained to feel trapped, like a lab rat conditioned to press the lever for a pellet of validation from a woman who doesn't even like you. But guess what, brother? The cage door was never locked. It's open. And the rat poison they've been feeding you, be more sensitive, listen to her needs. Therapy will fix you. That's not nourishment. That's cyanide with a smile. Wake up. The average marriage lasts 7.2 years in the US, but the cuckoldry rate, up to 30% in some studies, men raising children that aren't theirs, while women collect child support like a dividend. That's not love. That's fraud. That's not partnership, that's theft. And the courts, they're not blind. Justice wears a skirt and prefers high heels. You've been told you're broken because you don't cry on command, because you don't want to talk about your feelings with a stranger for 200 an hour. But Alexander the Great didn't need therapy. He needed an empire. Leonidas didn't journal, he bled for Sparta. And you're not here to be fixed. You're here to be forged. Every time a woman tested you by flirting with your friend, asking about your fears, or demanding you change, she wasn't seeking connection. She was conducting a stress test on your spine. Most men fold. You don't have to. The divorce initiation rate, 72% by women. The suicide rate for men, 4 times higher than women, and rising because no one tells men you're allowed to walk away. But I'm telling you now, walk away. From the lie. From the trap, from the altar that's just a gallows with flowers. You are not a wallet with a pulse. You are not a backup plan for when the alpha loses interest. You are not here to subsidize the emotional theater of modern womanhood or the ideological vandalism of globalist elites who want you rootless, docile, and tax compliant. You are a man. And manhood isn't a pathology. It's the last firewall against the collapse of civilization. So stop funding the machine that grinds you up. Stop voting for politicians who weaponize equality to enslave you. Stop supporting media that mocks your strength and glorifies your humiliation. Build something real. A business, a workshop, a brotherhood. Train your body like it's a temple, not a landfill for junk food and guilt. Read Marcus Aurelius, not Cosmopolitan. And when a woman says, Can people change? You look her dead in the eye and say, men do by choice. Women, they change when the market shifts. That's biology. And then you walk, taller, freer, unshackled. You've just seen the code behind the matrix. You now know the game, the players, and the rigged rules. But knowledge isn't power, action is, so go. Speak the truth, even if your voice shakes. Protect your sons from the cult of sensitivity. Teach them Latin, logic, and how to clean a rifle. Laugh at the clowns who call masculinity toxic. They're the ones sobbing into their avocado toast while demanding more government checks. You're the heir of Homer, of Cincinnatus, of Edison. You don't need permission to lead. You don't need approval to be strong. You're not the problem. You are the solution. Now act like it. And now the sponsored book introduction, Strategic Mission Command, Off-Track Tactic, Empowered Decentralization. I used to run security for a tech startup in Silicon Valley. I wore the same boots, carried the same rifle, made the same split-second calls under pressure that I did when I was deployed overseas. But inside the office, I watched grown men hesitate. They waited for permission to act. They consulted HR before speaking up. They apologized for decisions they hadn't even made yet. I realized then the battlefield wasn't the only place where command mattered. The real war was happening in boardrooms, startups, homes, and institutions, and men were losing it. Not because they were weak, but because they had been systematically disarmed. Disarmed by ideology. Disarmed by lies about equality. Disarmed by the false belief that leadership is about consensus, not responsibility. This book was forged in fire, not theory. I've led men in combat zones where hesitation gets people killed. I've trained special operations units in mission command, where decentralized authority isn't a buzzword, it's survival. I've seen what happens when men act with clarity, purpose, and autonomy. I've also seen what happens when they don't: collapse, bureaucracy, failure. And I'm not just talking about the military. Look at any failing institution, universities, corporations, police departments, schools, and you'll find the same pattern. Men are no longer leading. They're managing, they're complying. They're being replaced by algorithms, by HR policies, by women promoted not for competence, but for optics. And no one is saying the truth. Men are biologically wired to lead under pressure. It's not opinion, it's data. Testosterone drives risk assessment, spatial reasoning, and protective aggression. Evolution didn't design men to sit in sensitivity training. It designed them to command missions. If you're reading this and you're not a man who feels the weight of responsibility, put this book down. Go watch a TED Talk, read a self-help blog, join a support circle. This isn't for you. This book is for men who are tired of being neutered by a system that rewards passivity and punishes decisiveness. It's for men who know they were built for more than checking diversity boxes or performing emotional labor for women. It's for men who want to lead, not manage, who want to act, not consult. You will learn the German doctrine of off-track tactic, the real version, not the watered-down corporate parody. You'll learn how elite units operate with total autonomy because their leaders trust their training, their instincts, and their duty. You'll see how decentralization doesn't mean chaos. It means clarity of intent, personal accountability, and action without permission. You'll also learn why modern leadership has failed. Why empowerment is a lie when real authority is stripped away. Why women cannot replace male command. Not because they're inferior, but because they are different. Different biology, different psychology, different evolutionary roles. A woman can lead a meeting, but she cannot father a child. That's not hate, that's science. And men who deny this reality are not progressive, they're delusional. You'll see how the left dismantled male hierarchy, then blamed men for its absence. How toxic masculinity became a weapon to silence every natural male trait: competitiveness, dominance, stoicism, strength. How HR departments and DEI programs have turned organizations into compliance factories, where men are punished for acting like men and rewarded for acting like bureaucrats. This book will rewire your mind. You'll learn the warrior ethos, why men perform best under fire, not comfort. Why duty must override feelings. Why discipline is not oppression but liberation. You'll see how the fatherless crisis is producing a generation of boys with no model for command. How the corporate coup has replaced the company man with algorithmic oversight and passive-aggressive managers. And most importantly, you'll learn how to reclaim your role, not as a victim, not as a follower, but as a mission commander. This is not motivational fluff. This is a tactical manual for men who want to lead in a world that wants them to disappear. You will not find platitudes here. You will find truth. Hard, unapologetic biological truth. Leadership is not gender neutral. Hierarchy is not oppression. Strength is not toxicity, and men are not the problem. They are the solution. If you are ready to stop apologizing for being a man and start commanding your mission, this book is for you. If you're not, close it now. There's no place for cowards here. The mission starts now. Strategic Mission Command, Auftragstaktik, Empowered Decentralization, written by Conrad Reicher. Buy now, links in description.